On today's Taste Texas, it's pecan season. Chef Garth is making a scrumptious pecan-crusted flounder with wild rice topped with jalapeno jam.
Hey, I mean, you deep fry a shoelace, it's gonna taste good, right?
And for something sweet, he's making spiced pecan and pumpkin bread pudding. Oh, now put that on your Thanksgiving menu. So pull up a chair and join us at the table. Welcome to Taste Texas and welcome to this kitchen. I'm Amy Kushner.
And I'm Garth Blackburn.
We are happy to have a wonderful in-studio audience today. Thank you for coming. We're going to feed you at the end of this show. You're going to get to actually sample the food that Garth is going to prepare here.
And hydrate you with plenty of wine.
Oh, that too. Good things, right? Okay, so what are we making?
This is going to be an easy weeknight fish meal. We're going to do some Gulf flounder. It's going to be delicious. Serving that with some wild rice, which I think is great for the fall, great for the holidays.
Yes.
Both of which are going to be complemented by some incredible pecans, some Texas pecans. We'll get to discover a little bit more about that as well. And then, as you know, I like sweet and kind of salty and kind of spicy, that combination.
Yes.
So we're going to do some pickled and candied jalapenos as part of the sauce also.
Oh, I love those candied jalapenos.
Me
Yum.
too,
I can't
me
wait
too.
to see
And
how
they're
you
great,
put that
quick
together.
shortcut.
Okay, so what kind of fish are we starting with?
Well, actually, the fish we're going to do in a second, I think we're going to be waiting on our pecan delivery.
Okay.
And so we'll be searing off that Gulf flounder in just a little bit. But we're going to start with the items that are going to take a little bit longer, and that's going to be the wild rice. Wild rice typically takes about 45 minutes instead of the standard 15, but it's so much better for you. And a lot of people don't realize that the kind of wild rice part isn't actually even a rice. It's more of a grass. But that also is what provides so much more body in that crunch that I'm crazy about. That's why I like it, especially during the holidays.
I love wild rice. My grandmother used to always cook with wild rice.
Did she?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just bought some last night, so I think that's kind of funny that you're pulling it out too. Great minds think alike, Garth.
It might have been that, just me coming up with the last minute idea.
That too.
Did she make, because I know you're crazy about casseroles.
I love casseroles.
That could be the name of your cookbook, Crazy About Casseroles. This is going to be a setup you could actually turn into a casserole. If we just add a little egg and some cheese to it, we could bake it off.
Well, you need the meat too.
You do need the meat.
You gotta have the meat.
Why don't you start with measuring this out for me? Wild rice is going to have more liquid to it than a standard rice. It's going to be 2 to 1 or 2 and a splash to 1.
2 cups?
Yep.
Okay, and this is just...
This is chicken stock if you're going for the vegetarian route. Wow.
No comment.
This fish pairs really well with wine, and Amy is a perfect example of that.
No comment.
And 1 cup of rice.
Oh, gosh. Okay, back to the wild rice. Wild Amy is making a wild rice. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
1 cup of wild rice and 2 cups and a splash of chicken broth.
And a splash.
There we go.
I want to add the salt and the pepper now, because rice, when it cooks, just like pasta, it starts to get bigger, right? It expands. And so if you don't add the salt until later, the salt ends up being on the outside and you don't evenly flavor it. If we put the salt in now, now when it absorbs the liquid, the salt's actually getting into the inside of the rice as well.
Oh, okay.
And because wild rice does take so long to cook, you don't have to take the liquid to a boil first. You can just take it all to a boil at once. So we'll go ahead and put the lid on, make that happen a little bit faster. And then we're going to start on the mixture that's going to get mixed in with the rice.
Which
And
would
you know
be
what this
some
is,
bacon.
right? Oh, yes.
All right. It's been a while since you pulled out the bacon, Garth.
I had to try and take a little bit of a break from it. I was getting harassed too much.
Well, your cholesterol probably needed a little help too, right?
And now I do want to point out, I want y'all to do some research on real bacon, because by and large, that thick, delicious, this is pecan wood smoked Texas bacon.
Yeah.
So it's great. You can buy this in most grocery stores, but it's actually the same and sometimes less cholesterol than that turkey bacon. And I'm not a big fan.
I'm not either. I'm glad you call it bacon, because that's exactly what it is.
Tastes like cardboard. So this is, as I mentioned, this is actually Home Smokehouse, their Texas pecan wood smoked bacon.
Awesome.
I'm putting it in a cold pan because as it comes up to heat, that's going to render the fat out. That's going to eventually get mixed in with our wild rice.
When you say cold pan, does it like need to be in the refrigerator cold,
No,
or
that's-
just room temperature cold?
Room temperature cold.
Just had to ask.
The
'cause I
chef,
wondered,
yeah, if it's not hot,
you were
then it's
sticking
cold.
your pan in the fridge for about 3 minutes.
That would look odd, wouldn't it?
You never know. Some of
You
your
don't.
tips are really
I
interesting
do
and they
have some
work.
odd ones. Well, actually, maybe I should just tell people that and we'll see how many folks do it.
I would.
So,
I'd be like, I gotta get that pan in the fridge. Be right back.
so yeah, refrigerate the pan. It's going to be imperative to the properly cooked bacon.
Because it'll render the fat.
Sure.
Okay, on to the mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Now, these are Kitchen Pride out of Gonzales, Texas. These are my favorite. These are baby portobello, cremini. You see how white these are and how clean they are? Like, as I cut this, I don't find mushrooms that are this clean from any other brand and from any other state for sure. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. So why don't you go ahead
And who did you say these were by again?
These are Kitchen Pride.
Oh, yes. I'm
How
very
many-
familiar with them.
Because we use them all the time.
Yes.
How many of y'all are mushroom haters? Anybody here not like mushrooms? A few of you guys. So
One camera girl.
here's what I do.
Alyssa, you are going to love mushrooms. We're going to make sure of it.
I cut them really, really small. And the smaller they are, now you're not going to get that kind of sponginess.
It's a texture
so
thing.
We're going
I
to go ahead and
understand.
cut the rest of those, render down that bacon, the rice is cooking, and we'll be getting ready for the fish.
Smelling delicious already. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more good stuff. Stay with us. So it's pecan season, and we got to take a wonderful trip out to Gilbert Pecan Company out in the Stephenville area. If you haven't been there, you should definitely check it out. But we're going to go and show you a little inside look of our visit recently there. Take a look. We're at Gilbert Pecan Company in Santo, Texas, and we're going to get a grand tour of how all the pecans are dropping out here. Bubba Gilbert's going to give us the grand tour.
My great-granddad bought this they moved the last little bunch of Indians off this place in 1877, and he bought it in 1877.
Really?
It said in the history books, you on the point of that mountain, you look back to the east and saw the last little bunch of Indians here on the creek.
Whoa.
And of course, they were just digger Indians. They weren't warlike Indians. They were starving to death, and they moved them across the border into Oklahoma in 77, and he bought the place in 77.
Wow.
In 1877.
1877, yeah.
And what was he using the property for?
My great-granddad, they cleared it and farmed it. That's cotton and corn.
Cotton and corn.
Cotton and corn. That's
Yeah.
that's what they did with teams.
It's beautiful. So did you plant the pecan trees?
No, these are all native. They come up from nature.
So how old are most of these pecan trees then?
They don't grow in some areas, and according to the soil, they grow faster and get bigger according to the soils. This soil is not really ideal pecan soil, so I'm going to say they're 400 years old, most of them.
And how big of a taste difference do you notice between getting them right off the tree versus ones that have been either shelled or bagged?
Bad part about the processing on most pecans is the commercial shellers. They boil the pecans in the shell to the point where it gets the meats hot and wet. And the reason they do that is because when they crack them, they get more halves. And that's where the market is. Well, when they heat them and wet them, they got to heat dry them, and that distorts the oil in the meat. So what you buy in the store in a package is not very good. Yeah, and for us, we cold water sanitize them. We use bleach water and cold water sanitize them, and we don't sanitize them to the point where the meat gets wet. We sanitize the outside shell. Let them dry and then shell them. And it never distorts the oil in the meat.
No, speed it up. Speed it up. Come on.
no.
Come on. Let's have a little test.
This is making me nervous.
She's missing a bunch.
What if you get the wrong thing in the wrong bucket?
You're going to have to go through the whole thing and dig it out.
She went.
Are you supposed to be eating while you're picking?
Do not eat pecans out of the boxes or off the table.
Busted.
Garth. Love cooking
What?
with pecans, love eating pecans. This is the time of year to have them. And we are getting a personal delivery
We are.
all the
Lucky
way
us.
from Stephenville. Miss Rhea from Gilbert Pecan Company. Everyone give her a big old hand.
Thanks, guys. Thank y'all. Thought y'all could use these in your cooking today.
And she comes bearing gifts. This is my kind of gift, a 5-pound bag.
Pounds of pecans.
Yes.
This is going to keep us busy through the holidays, Rhea.
Good. That's perfect. That's what we brought them for. And we got more if you need run out.
We loved coming to your place. Again,
Perfect.
thank you for
Thanks,
having us.
Thank y'all for
Thanks,
coming out.
Rhea.
We enjoyed it. We had a blast.
We
We
love
will be back.
Great.
love ordering from you online too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So which one do you want? You want to start with this one? Oh, you want both?
Okay, so we're going to crust the flounder.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem is that these large pieces
Uh-huh.
don't stick incredibly well to the fish.
That's
and
true.
So what I found is
Somebody spilling?
just a little bit, trying to keep up with you.
Uh-huh.
is that if you combine a little bit of pecan meal, which is kind of like a texture of like a really thick flour,
Yeah.
that's going to help it stick to the outside of your fish. If you want to do pecan crusted chicken, by using that meal, we're getting a combination of chunky and also fine, and so
That's
we'll create a
perfect.
really delicious crust with it.
That's a great idea. I've never done that before, but now I'm going to try.
And you can do just the meal, but it's going to become very dense that way. This is going to be a great combination of both crunchy, nutty, and some density. So let's get ready to roll. I'm going to season my flour, a little bit of smoked paprika. I'm just going to crust the top. And I tell you what, will you do me a favor and turn the heat up in that pan? And
As soon as I wash
the
these
oil over
hands.
there?
Huh?
See
What's
that
the one more
pecan
time?
oil?
What? Oil? Oil. Here we
And
go.
I'm putting this in the egg.
That? I hope
I'm not
that's what
even
you
worried
wanted.
about whisking the egg. It doesn't matter if it's the egg white or the egg yolk.
Put that down. Okay.
Egg white or the egg yolk. I'm still going to get that nice crust to it. It's going to allow
Okay,
the
so it goes flour.
flour,
Uh-huh.
then our egg.
Egg.
And again, egg white, egg yolk doesn't make a difference. And then into that mixture of the pecan meal and the pecan pieces.
And
then
you're
right
only
into our
going to do
pan.
one side?
Right, otherwise it ends up with such a thick crust that you end up with very little fish and a lot of crust. So
Right.
instead, I'm just going to sear the pecan topped portion.
Okay.
We'll sear the bottom and then finish it off in the oven.
Oh my gosh, this is smelling delicious. The bacon, the
Smells-
pecans. This is all so good, but we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to show you more how to get this delicious meal on your table. We'll be right back. Now, who doesn't want pecan crusted flounder with some bacon and something else going on here?
We got the wild rice cooking, the bacon's working. We've got the kitchen pride mushrooms we're about to do, but
Let me
for
guess.
finishing, right? And this one's really important that y'all
Right.
finish in the oven because pecans will burn so quickly
Mm-hmm.
that if you tried to finish that in the pan, you would burn the pecans before the fish got cooked through.
Right, so all you did
So-
was just kind of sear it on one side. Then you're going to put it in the oven and finish.
Let it finish off.
Okay, at what temperature?
Okay, now my preference is 350 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. If you're in a bind and you need it quick, you could do 400 for about 6 minutes, which is what we're doing here. It's not as forgiving. So if
Right.
you accidentally leave it in for 2 minutes too long at 400, you
You're
got
in
some
trouble.
dry fish. Right. Okay, so the bacon now is starting to get crispy. Why don't you go ahead and dump those mushrooms in?
Oh, I thought you wanted
To our
to dump
little
the
bacon
bacon. I was
sauce.
like, where's that bacon going?
Now we're gonna keep all
Okay.
that bacon in there.
So all the mushrooms.
This is my mushrooms for mushroom haters because you're not getting this big, people call it slimy or spongy. Instead,
Squishy.
it's squishy.
There's a hater. Look,
But she
Garth.
didn't want to raise her hand. She didn't want to get called out on television like you're doing right
We'll
now. I
make
tell
you a
what,
special plate, ma'am.
yeah, and it's going to have mushrooms in it, and you're going to love it. It is going to have mushrooms that have absorbed bacon grease that are
Hello.
small, so they're not spongy, and they're going to get mixed in with the wild rice. You will never know.
You'll never know what's in there. You won't
would
even
miss
taste it.
You'll taste how delicious it is.
She's like, yeah, sure, lady.
She's like, I'm not having the rice. All right, so that's going to cook down. To go with that, I wanted to put some apples in. So it's up to you. If you don't mind a little bit of kind of extra texture, you can leave the skin on the apple. Okay, and so then we'll just put that in. A little bit of sweetness. I think that's great during the holidays, especially the little apple, little richness. It goes really well with fish. That also goes well with the pecans, with the nuts. Okay. And
That's a great idea.
now we're going to get ready to make a little jam that goes on the top. So we're talking sweet. This is going to take sweet to another level as well.
Jam.
So, jam. All right. So these,
Jam as opposed to jelly
as opposed to jelly,
or preserve.
and we're not preserving. This is a quick jam,
Okay.
and I'm using the skillet that is resilient to sticking because I don't want to put a lot of oil in here because if you're making a jam or something sweet with sugar that you're cooking down, that oil will end up separating and kind of come into the top. So
Okay.
it'll be better off in here.
Perfect.
Hey, I tell you what, will you toss those mushrooms and apples?
You didn't put a whole lot of apple in here either. Is there a specific reason?
We've got the sweet from the jam that's already going to be happening, so I felt like that was more than enough.
Okay.
Okay, and these are some Jacksonville, Texas tomatoes. So we're getting towards the end of the tomato season. You can still
Right.
find some that are still good to go. We're going to put those in. To that, now we're going to add the sweet part. These are some Fredericksburg candied jalapenos.
This is my favorite thing. One of my very favorite things are these peppers.
Well, you know,
So good on brisket.
I'm trying to
With mayonnaise and red. Sorry, I just concocted a new recipe.
We know what
We'll make
Amy's
that
going to be
later.
making in the future.
One day we'll do that.
But the other thing that's great with them is to batter them and deep fry them. Because, hey, I mean, you deep fry a shoelace, it's going to taste good, right?
I don't know, I've never tried that, but I trust you.
I don't think I'm going to
Shoelace.
try that for a show. Okay, so that's going to be the sweet, some Texas honey.
Uh-huh.
This is going to be the sour. That goes well with any sauce. This is apple cider vinegar. It has something called the mother in it. It's good for your intestinal system. So we're going to cook that down. Really, if you have time to cook it for a good hour until it starts to thicken. And what will happen? First, it will get cloudy, and then it's really interesting. It will start to clarify. And so then you'll actually be able to see through it. So like when you buy jam and jelly at the store, it might be colored,
Right.
but it's not real cloudy. If yours is cloudy, you need to cook it for longer.
Longer.
Okay.
So really an hour, that's quite a while.
And if you don't have time, just crank the heat up on high. It won't be quite as clear.
Okay.
But you can cook it for, instead of an hour, you can cook it instead for about, 10 to 15 minutes until it starts to thicken up. It won't be quite as pretty, but it's still going to taste just as good.
I'm really interested to see how you're going to plate all this.
Yeah,
But
that's going to
fish
be great.
almost done. So we're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll finally put it all together, right?
We will be.
He
Smell
says
great.
yes, so we'll
He
be right
says
back.
yes.
Please stay with us.
All right, we're hiding out in the Subs Wolf Prep Kitchen. This is where the magic's gonna happen. We're gonna be doing a spiked Texas pecan and pumpkin bread pudding. So we're gonna use some farm fresh eggs. I'm gonna use a little bit of milking, either cream, half and half, or 2% milk. We'll use a cup to 3 eggs. Instead of just using sugar, I want to add some delicious maple flavor. So I'm going to put in some grade A light amber maple syrup. Perfect for the fall is going to be a little bit of pumpkin puree, using half a cup. Now for the spiked part, I'm going to use some pecan street rum. So it's going to cook out the alcohol while it cooks, but we'll be left with a lot of that delicious caramel flavor and that nutty flavor. So use a teaspoon of it and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then to really pull together some of those fall flavors, I'm going to use some pumpkin pie spice. Or you could just use cinnamon, a little allspice, some nutmeg. We're going to whisk this together and it's going to make our custard. Okay, we've got our custard mixed up. Now I'm going to add some bread. My favorite bread to add is either sweet Hawaiian bread or Jewish style challah bread from your bakery. Put in about 4 cups of bread. Okay, we've mixed the bread in. It's absorbed that delicious custard. Now we're gonna add in, I'm not a big fan of white chocolate. I think if you're going chocolate, you gotta go dark chocolate. This is just gonna be some additional sweetness, and it's gonna make it even more moist. So we'll put about 3 tablespoons, about 1/4 cup in that white chocolate. Now we're putting my favorite, some Gilbert Pecan Company pecans, where Amy and I got to shake down some trees and work the pecan line, little I Love Lucy style when they cranked up the speed on that machine. We're gonna mix these in. If you're just making 1 or 2 servings, then I could use a ramekin. Don't fill it more than 3/4 of the way full, because it's gonna rise as it cooks. That'll pop it out over the top and could make a mess in your oven. So I would recommend, if you're gonna use ramekins, to go ahead and put it onto a sheet tray. As always, I like to use foil and parchment so there's not gonna be any cleanup. If you are doing more than a couple of servings, my favorite thing to do in bulk is gonna be a muffin tin. If you wanna make this for maybe a cocktail party and small bite desserts, I could use a mini muffin tin instead. Okay, we just cooked that ramekin at 325 degrees for 25 minutes. Okay, so now I've got that Mexican crema out of Houston, some of that Desert Creek honey. Okay, we'll take some fresh berries, a fresh mint sprig. Pretty easy 5-minute dessert. You guys can make it home.
I don't know, we're coming back and Garth grabbed a handful of something. What's in your hand?
I was just about to eat some pecans, but instead, I'm going to go ahead and put them into that mixture that's going to go for the rice. You caught
Just
me.
carrying around a
Oh,
handful.
yeah.
You're just going to pop them in your mouth. Hey,
some
they are good enough to eat,
delicious
just like that.
So that's our base. That's going to be that mixture for the wild rice. Why don't you grab the pot with the wild rice in it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And start putting
you
that
wanted to
rice
mix with that?
right into that mixture.
Oh.
While you're doing that, I'm going to pull the fish out of the oven.
All right.
As I mentioned, at 400, it's going to take about 6 to 8 minutes.
I'm hoping you wanted all the rice mixed with this.
Do.
Okay,
I
good.
do.
That's what you just got.
Okay.
Oh, what's
That
that?
right there is some of the Eagle Mountain Farmhouse cheese, that aged cheese that he's won some awards with. Delicious cheese. It's going to help stick it all together.
Which one is that? Do you remember?
I don't. It was the award winner, but I don't recall which one it was.
Is it the St. David?
It wasn't the self-named Saint David. His name's David, and he decided no one else was going to call him a saint, so he named a cheese after himself called Saint David.
Smart guy.
Really interesting guy.
I'm going to do that one day.
Okay, if y'all wanted to make this into Amy's favorite casserole, then you could actually put 2 eggs into this, top it with additional cheese in a casserole dish, and bake that for about 20 to 25 minutes.
Ooh, nice side dish.
So I told you how you
nice.
could do it. As a chef, I'm not necessarily making a casserole. So we'll just put this
Instead, you're
down.
going to put hot rice on a glass of ice.
Say that 5 times fast.
Looks like a beautiful ice sculpture there. Garth, what is that?
Well, I just find that using just pieces of glass, I mean, not like sharp chunks, obviously, but
Right?
using pieces of glass are a great way to kind of display food. It doesn't take away color, and just has a nice, clean look to it.
So this would be like
So
if
this
you're
would be the
having-
platter. So this is what we'll be bringing out to the table.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And now I'm going to put our fish on there.
If it'll fit. That's a nice big piece of fish. Ew,
So
it
that
turned out
Gulf-
really nice.
Gulf Flounder.
Smells amazing. Wow. Look at that. Can y'all see how beautiful that is?
All right, let's
Yeah.
top that off with the jam.
Gorgeous. Oh, yeah, the jam. Gotta get the jam on, Garth.
Get the jam on.
Wow. A lot of flavor and smell going on there.
Sweet, nutty,
Yeah.
sour, salty.
This is gonna be amazing. Okay, so I need to let everybody know that they can get this recipe. It's always on our website. That's tastetexastv.com. And then you can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and that's Taste Texas as well. I gotta taste this before we close out, Garth. Do you mind?
No.
Can I dig in?
I can't resist
Seriously?
either.
I mean, we've done all this work. We must taste, right?
Complimenting myself, but I think it's delicious.
But say so myself, right?
If I don't say so myself, but I think all that needs is a big old glass of wine. And the Heimlich. Anyhow, come back and join us next week. Bye, guys.